Hello and welcome to this episode of More Than Medicine. This is your nephew, uncle, your cousin, Dr. Kyjuan Brown. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic as it relates to real estate investing, and that is investment trust. We want to understand how to use trust as an asset management tool as well as asset protection. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell down the bottom so you'll be notified of any content as I release it. As a legal disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, I'm a medical doctor and a real estate investor. I have numerous trusts, so I have an understanding of what trusts are, but please consult your local family lawyer to ask for further direction and guidance. The purpose of this simple talk is really to educate and to empower you to consider trust as a method of asset management and protection. So what is a trust? It's actually quite simple. So it may sound like complex legal jargon, but it really isn't. A trust is simply entrusting one of your friends to take care of your car and to hold and manage it. However, in legal terms, it's when a person, i.e. a trustee, holds and manages an asset, i.e. your car, your house, or some sort of property, for someone else's benefit or even for your benefit. So why a trust? You may wonder why people use trust. As we just recently learned what trusts are and the legal protection and this framework around trust. But trusts are great for estate planning, ensuring that your assets go smoothly upon your unfortunate death to your loved ones or whomever you may choose, without having to go through the court process and filing probates, etc. Simply you lay out in your trust who you want your beneficiaries to be, at what age and when, and what levels of access that you want them to have access to the asset. All of that stuff you can lay out very, very clearly in a trust with the advice of your family lawyer or your estate lawyer. They also offer control of how your property is handled and can protect you and the asset from legal trouble such as creditors. For example, someone wanted to sue you as an individual. You don't own anything. Everything is owned by the trust. You are simply a beneficiary. You're not an owner of the trust. So there's a form of asset protection from creditors. Because as we mentioned before, you have entrusted those assets to a friend or to trustees to hold and to manage and to control that trust. And they are the legal owners in the name of the trust. So therefore, when it comes to transferring assets, say for instance you had a child that started to go wayward and they were listed as a beneficiary of your trust, you can write in the trust and say, if this individual starts to go X, Y, and Z, or misbehaves X, Y, and Z, or involves himself in criminality, then he or she is no longer going to be a beneficiary of the trust. And or while you're living, if you're the settlor, you can change the beneficiary at will. Just write into your lawyer and say, I no longer want X, Y, and Z to be on my trust. My new beneficiary is going to be whomever, your church. I'm sure they would love that. So let's go through the trust structure. So let's break it down. So you have the settlor. The settlor, that's you or whomever is settling or starting the trust. And then you have your trustees. Your trustees are those persons who you trust to manage and control the asset. And the beneficiary is those who would like to benefit from the trust. You can be a beneficiary of your trust. And then upon your untimely death, the beneficiary can then be passed on to whomever or whatever person or persons or whatever entity you want to now therefore be beneficiaries of your trust. At any point in time, you as the settlor can appoint or remove trustees by writing into your lawyer. However, your beneficiaries, whether it be your children or whomever, you can give them the power to appoint trustees or to add or remove trustees, or you don't give them that power to add and remove trustees. For my personal trust, my children do not have the ability to remove trustees, because if they happen to go wayward or to do things that untoward upon my death or after my death, then I want the assets that I previously owned, which because they're in a trust, I don't own them, to be distributed differently, or them not to be able to sell certain things or certain items because I want them to stay in the family to create generational wealth. So all those types of nuances you can discuss with your lawyer and come up with a concrete plan as to who, when, and how individuals or entities can benefit from the assets within the trust. So what are the pros and cons? Because there's pros and cons to everything, really. In this regards, I would think that the pros far outweigh the cons, but I still, for full disclosure, have to let you know what those are. So like everything, trusts have an upside and a downside. They can bypass the legal processes as we just talked about, offering great asset protection, but they also can be complex, they can be costly, and they can also be inflexible. So you can make the trust as simple or as complex as you want it to be, right? Cost, I'll leave down in the description some helpful resources for local lawyers that have established trusts for me, and I'll also, put the costs of what they were to create. And for me, it wasn't that expensive at all. It was actually a no-brainer. And the inflexibility of a trust is black and white, right? If you say this person is going to get this, then that is it. There's no flexibility in between. There's no one that can come in and say, I now want to claim this. Maybe for example, you have another child, maybe outside of wedlock or what have you. Those things happen. Hello. And then at the funeral, they want to come up and claim stuff. Well, it may have been your desire at one point to make the beneficiaries of the trust all your living children have a right to claim. But if you didn't write that in your trust, then the beneficiary is going to be whoever you state, unless you state that any beneficiary or issuance of me can benefit from this particular trust. So it's really as complex or as simple as you want. So in conclusion, trusts are more than just legal jargon. They are practical tools for managing and protecting your assets. Remember, it's always wise to consult your legal experts and your financial professionals when dealing or setting up a trust. So guys, if you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell down the bottom so you can be notified of any content as it's released. And don't forget to drop me some questions and some comments, and also let me know what else you want me to speak about on this particular topic or others. But once again, this is your nephew and your cousin, Dr. Kyjuan Brown, and thank you for joining me on this episode of More Than Medicine.